As the world outside grows quiet and the stars begin their slow dance across the night sky, let us slip into a realm older than time itself, a place where shadows whisper secrets, where rivers carve paths through eternal darkness, and where the souls of the departed find their final rest. Tonight, we embark on a journey through the Greek underworld, a land woven into the myths of ancient Greece, where gods and mortals alike confront the mysteries of life, death, and what lies beyond. This is not a tale of mere facts and dates, but a story, a tapestry of longing, fear, and wonder, spun by a people who gazed into the abyss and sought to understand its truths. Close your eyes, if you wish, and let the gentle cadence of this narration carry you into the depths of Hades' domain. Picture the flickering light of a torch casting shadows on a cavern wall, the distant echo of a river's flow, and the weight of silence that holds the stories of countless souls. This is a tale for those who seek to drift into sleep, wrapped in the soothing embrace of history, where the past feels alive, tangible, and ever so close. Whether you're nestled under a blanket in a quiet room or listening beneath a canopy of stars, this story is for you, a moment to pause, to reflect, and to let the ancient world unfold in your mind. Before we begin, I'd love to connect with you, dear listener. From where are you joining me tonight? Perhaps you're in a bustling city where lights never fade, or a small village where the night is deep and still. What time is it there? Share a comment below. Tell me your corner of the world and what brings you to this tale of the Greek underworld. And if you find peace in these stories, consider subscribing to join our community of dreamers and history lovers, where each video is a new journey into the past. Your support keeps these tales alive, and I'm so grateful to have you here. Hello, my name is Sherry, and welcome to my channel. So let's begin. Imagine, if you will, a world where the sun never rises, where the air carries a chill that seeps into the soul, and where the earth itself seems to hum with the weight of eternity. This is the Greek underworld, a realm as vast and enigmatic as the minds that dreamed it into being. To the ancient Greeks, death was not an end but a passage, a journey into a shadowed land that held both terror and wonder. As we begin our tale, let us step softly, as if treading the path of a departed soul, leaving behind the warmth of life to explore the mysteries that lie beneath. In the cosmology of ancient Greece, the world was a tapestry of realms, each woven into the fabric of existence. Above, the gods of Olympus reigned in golden light, their laughter echoing across the heavens. Below, the mortal world buzzed with the chaos of life, farmers tending fields, poets weaving verses, warriors clashing under the sun. But beneath it all, hidden from mortal eyes, lay the underworld, a domain ruled by Hades, the unseen god. It was a place where the soul, freed from its earthly vessel, ventured to face its fate. To the Greeks, this was no mere myth, but a truth as real as the olive groves or the waves lapping at their shores. Death was a constant companion, and the underworld was its home. The journey to this shadowed realm began the moment life slipped away. Picture a soul, weightless yet burdened by memory, standing at the edge of the mortal world. The Greeks believed that death was not a sudden severance but a gradual unraveling. The body, once vibrant, grew still, but the psyche, the breath of life, the essence of the self, lingered briefly, reluctant to depart. It was said that the soul could hear the wails of loved ones, feel the touch of hands preparing the body for burial, and sense the weight of coins placed upon its eyes or tongue. These coins, small and cold, were no mere trinkets. They were the obol, the fare for a journey that no mortal could refuse. As the soul began its descent, the world above faded like a dream at dawn. The Greeks imagined this passage as a downward spiral, a path that wound through caverns deep within the earth. Some said the entrance lay in distant lands, like the cave at Cape Tainaran in the Peloponnese, where the earth gaped wide as if hungry for the dead. Others whispered of hidden rifts known only to the gods. Wherever the path began, it led to a realm where light was a memory, and silence held sway. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of damp stone and the faint echo of unseen rivers. The soul, now a shade, moved forward, driven not by will but by the inexorable pull of fate. This underworld was not a place of fire and brimstone, as later traditions might conjure, nor was it a paradise of endless joy. It was a land of contrasts. meadows of soft gray, rivers that burned or wept, and regions where heroes feasted while others languished in torment. To the Greeks, it was a mirror of life itself, reflecting the virtues, flaws, and ambiguities of those who had once walked the earth. The underworld was a canvas upon which the Greeks painted their deepest questions. What becomes of us after death? Are our deeds remembered? Does justice await beyond the grave? These were not idle musings, but the heartbeat of a culture that revered both life and its inevitable end. The Greeks wove their myths with care, drawing from a wellspring of stories passed down through generations. The underworld was not a single tale but a mosaic, shaped by poets like Homer and Hesiod, whose words carried the weight of divine inspiration. In the Odyssey, we glimpse the underworld through Odysseus' eyes, a place of shadows and sorrow where heroes lament their lost glory. In other tales, it is a realm of order, where judges weigh the souls of the dead with unerring fairness. Yet always, it is a place that commands awe, a reminder that even the mightiest mortal must bow before the mysteries of death. As we stand at the threshold of this journey, consider the soul moving deeper into the darkness. It is not alone, for the underworld is alive with presences, gods, monsters, and shades who whisper of what lies ahead. The path is uncertain, and the air grows colder still. What awaits beyond the gates? Will the soul find peace, punishment, or something stranger still? Let us hold this question close, like a candle in the dark, as we prepare to cross the boundary into the realm of Hades. For somewhere in the shadows, a great beast stirs, and the gates of the underworld creak open, beckoning us forward. The soul, now a fleeting shade, drifts deeper into the earth, where the light of the mortal world is but a distant memory. The air grows heavier, laced with the scent of ancient stone and the faint murmur of unseen waters. Before it lies the threshold of the underworld, a boundary no living soul may cross without divine sanction. Here, at the gates of Hades, the true journey begins, a passage into a realm where time holds no sway, and the rules of the living are but whispers on the wind. Picture it. A vast archway carved from the bones of the earth, its surface worn smooth by the passage of countless souls, each leaving behind a trace of longing or fear. This is no mere doorway. It is a declaration of eternity, a line drawn between the warmth of life and the enigma of what lies beyond. In the Greek imagination, the gates of Hades were more than stone and shadow. They were a symbol of finality, a reminder that death was both a destination and a transformation. The poets spoke of these gates with reverence, as if they could see them in their dreams, towering, unyielding, and cloaked in a darkness that seemed to breathe. Some said they were forged by Hephaestus himself, the god of fire and craft, imbued with a divine strength that no mortal could breach. Others claimed they were older than the gods, shaped by the primal forces that birthed the cosmos. Whatever their origin, the gate stood as a sentinel, marking the point where hope and despair met in uneasy truce. Guarding this threshold was a creature as fearsome as the gates themselves, Cerberus, the three-headed hound of Hades. Imagine him now, a beast of monstrous size, his fur black as the void, his eyes glowing like embers in the gloom. Each head moved with a purpose of its own, sniffing the air for the scent of the living or the unworthy. His jaws dripped with venom, and his tail lashed like a serpent, ready to strike. To the Greeks, Cerberus was not merely a guardian but a living embodiment of the underworld's dread. He ensured that none who entered could leave, and none who lived could enter without divine favor. Yet there was a strange nobility to him, a loyalty to his master, Hades, that made him more than a monster. In tales whispered by firelight, heroes like Heracles and Orpheus faced Cerberus, not with brute force alone but with cunning and respect, offering music or strength to soothe his savage heart. As the shade approaches, it feels the weight of Cerberus' gaze, those 6 eyes piercing through the darkness. The air thrums with the low growl of the beast, a sound that seems to rise from the earth itself. The soul hesitates, its memories of life flickering like a candle in a storm. It recalls the stories told in mortal halls, of heroes who passed these gates, of gods who walked unafraid, and of the countless others who crossed in silence, never to return. The gates loom closer now, their surface etched with faint patterns that might be runes or the marks of forgotten hands. The shade steps forward, drawn by an unseen force, and the gates creak open, just wide enough to allow passage. A cold wind rushes out, carrying the scent of damp earth and something older, something eternal. Beyond the gates lies a vast expanse, a cavern so immense it defies comprehension. The Greeks believed the underworld was a world unto itself, with its own rivers, plains, and peaks, all shrouded in a twilight that neither waxed nor waned. The Shade's journey is only beginning, for the gates are but the first trial. Ahead lies the River Styx, its waters dark and unyielding, a barrier that demands a price for crossing. The Greeks placed great importance on the rituals of death, for without them, a soul might linger at the gates, unable to proceed. Families would wash and anoint the body, dress it in fine cloth, and place the obol coin in the mouth or upon the eyes, a humble offering to ensure safe passage. To be unburied without coin or care was a fate worse than death, for it left the soul stranded, a wanderer between worlds. The gates of Hades, then, were more than a physical barrier. They were a rite of passage, a moment of reckoning. They forced the soul to confront its own impermanence, to shed the illusions of mortal life and step into the truth of the underworld. The Greeks wove these images into their myths with care, drawing on a deep well of cultural memory. In the Odyssey, Odysseus stands at the edge of this realm, pouring libations to summon the shades, his heart heavy with the knowledge that he, too, will one day pass these gates. In other tales, the gates are a challenge for heroes, a test of courage and wit. Yet for the ordinary soul, they were a quiet inevitability, a doorway that awaited all. As the shade passes through, the gates close behind with a sound like a sigh, sealing the world of the living away. The darkness deepens, and the path slopes downward, leading to the banks of the Styx, where a lone figure waits, his eyes gleaming in the gloom. Who is this ferryman, and what price will he demand? The shade moves forward, drawn by the promise of answers, or perhaps by the hope of rest. But the underworld is a place of secrets, and each step reveals only a fragment of its truth. What lies across the river, and what fate awaits those who cross? Let us follow, softly now, as the current calls us deeper into the heart of Hades' realm. The shade moves forward, the echo of the gates closing still lingering like a half-forgotten dream. The cavern stretches wide, its ceiling lost in shadow, and the air grows damp, carrying the faint tang of iron and earth. Ahead, the path slopes toward a sound, a low, ceaseless murmur, like a heartbeat pulsing through the stone. This is the River Styx, the first and most formidable of the underworld's barriers, its waters dark as obsidian, rippling with a strange, unnatural sheen. To the ancient Greeks, the Styx was no mere river but a sacred boundary, a liquid veil between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. Its name meant hateful or abhorred, a reflection of the dread it inspired, yet it held a power that even the gods respected. Tonight, as we follow the shade, let us linger on its banks and listen to the stories woven into its current. Picture the Styx as it winds through the underworld, its surface unbroken save for the occasional swirl, as if unseen hands stir its depths. The Greeks believed it circled the realm of Hades 9 times, a serpentine guardian that no soul could cross without aid. Its waters were said to be born from the tears of the Titaness Styx, a goddess who sided with Zeus in the war against the Titans, earning her river a place of honor and terror. To swear an oath by the Styx was the most binding vow a god could make, for its waters held a magic that could unmake even the divine. For mortals, it was the first trial of the afterlife, a test of preparation and respect for the rituals of death. Waiting on the near bank, cloaked in shadow, stands a figure as ancient as the river itself, Charon, the ferryman of the dead. Imagine him now, a gaunt, weathered man, his face etched with lines that speak of countless years spent in this twilight realm. His eyes gleam like polished flint, sharp and unyielding, as he leans on a long pole, his boat swaying gently in the current. His cloak is tattered, yet there is a quiet dignity to him, a sense of purpose in his endless task. Charon is no god, yet he is no mere mortal either. He is a servant of Hades, bound to ferry souls across the Styx for a price. That price is the obol, the small coin placed in the mouth or upon the eyes of the dead by grieving families. Without it, the soul is doomed to wander the near bank, a restless shade caught between worlds. The shade we follow approaches Charon, its form trembling in the dim light. It reaches for the coin, a cold disk pressed against its lips in life, now its only hope of passage. Charon's gaze is unrelenting, his silence heavier than the river itself. He extends a bony hand, and the shade places the obol in his palm. With a nod, he gestures to the boat, a simple craft of blackened wood, its planks worn smooth by the weight of countless souls. The shade steps aboard, and Charon pushes off, his pole dipping into the Styx with a rhythm as steady as time itself. The boat glides forward, cutting through waters that seem to whisper secrets, fragments of lives, regrets, and dreams left behind. The Greeks placed immense importance on the burial rites that ensured a soul's passage. A body left unburied, without coin or care, was a tragedy, for it left the soul stranded, unable to cross the Styx. Families would gather to wash and anoint the dead, dressing them in fine garments and singing laments that carried their love into the next world. The obol was a humble offering, yet it held profound meaning, a token of respect for the journey ahead. In the Iliad, we see the grief of those who could not bury their kin, their souls left to haunt the living. In other tales, heroes like Odysseus offer blood to the shades, drawing them to the Styx's edge to speak, their voices heavy with longing for the world above. As the boat moves across the river, the shade gazes into the water, its surface reflecting nothing but darkness. The Styx is more than a physical barrier. It is a mirror of the soul's own reckoning. To cross it is to accept the finality of death, to let go of the mortal coil and embrace the unknown. The Greeks wove this river into their myths with care, seeing in its flow the inevitability of fate. Philosophers like Plato mused on its meaning, while poets like Pindar sang of its power. To them, the Styx was a reminder that life and death were bound together, two sides of the same eternal thread. The far bank draws near, its outline faint in the gloom. Charon's boat glides to a stop, and the shade steps onto the shore, its heart, if a shade can have such a thing, pounding with anticipation. The air here is different, heavier, as if the weight of countless souls lingers in the mist. Beyond the Styx, the underworld unfolds, a labyrinth of rivers, plains, and shadows. The shade's journey is far from over, for other rivers await, each with its own story, its own power. What secrets do these waters hold, and what lies in the vast expanse beyond? The shade takes a step forward, drawn by the promise of answers, or perhaps by the hope of rest. But the underworld is a place of trials, and the next river whispers a challenge all its own. The shade steps onto the far bank of the Styx, its feet touching ground that feels both solid and insubstantial, as if the earth itself is woven from shadows. The air hums with a quiet energy, and the darkness softens just enough to reveal a vast, sprawling landscape, a realm where caverns stretch like the halls of forgotten kings, and rivers carve their paths through the eternal gloom. These are the 5 rivers of the underworld, each a thread in the tapestry of Hades' domain, each carrying a story older than the gods themselves. As we follow the shade deeper into this shadowed world, let us linger by these waters, their currents whispering truths about life, death, and the human soul. Picture them now, winding through the dark, their voices blending into a chorus that soothes the heart and beckons the mind to drift. Beyond the Styx, 4 other rivers flow through the underworld, each with its own name and purpose, each a reflection of the Greek understanding of the afterlife. The Styx, which we've crossed, is the river of hatred, its waters binding oaths and separating the living from the dead. But the others, Acheron, Cocytus, Phlegethon, and Lethe, each hold a unique place in the mythology, their names etched into the poems and prayers of a people who saw in them the many faces of mortality. To the Greeks, these rivers were not mere geography but symbols, each one a piece of the puzzle that is the human condition, flowing through a realm where time and memory blur into one. First, let us walk to the Acheron, the river of woe. Its waters are deep and sluggish, a dull silver that seems to absorb what little light dares to linger here. The Acheron is often confused with the Styx in later tales, but to the early Greeks, it was distinct, a river of sorrow that mirrored the grief of those left behind. Some said it was the first river a soul encountered, its banks crowded with shades who wept for the lives they had lost. Picture the scene. A shore lined with figures, their forms faint and wavering, their voices a soft lament that blends with the river's flow. The Acheron carried the weight of mourning, a reminder that death was not only a journey for the soul, but a wound for those still living. In the Odyssey, Odysseus pours libations by its waters, summoning shades who hunger for the taste of blood and the chance to speak once more. Next, the shade's path leads to the Cocytus, the river of lamentation. Its waters are colder, sharper, cutting through the stone like a blade of ice. The Cocytus is the voice of grief made manifest, its name derived from the cries of the bereaved. The Greeks imagined it as a river fed by the tears of the dead, its current carrying the echoes of their regrets and unfulfilled desires. Stand by its banks, and you might hear a distant wail, a chorus of sorrow that rises and falls like a tide. In some myths, the Cocytus flows into the Acheron, their waters mingling in a dance of mourning that binds the underworld's sorrows together. The Greeks, ever attuned to the emotions of life, saw in this river a reflection of the pain that lingers even after death, a pain that, perhaps, we carry with us into the dark. Then there is the Phlegethon, the river of fire, a stream unlike any other. Its waters burn with a heat that does not consume, a crimson glow that lights the surrounding caverns with an eerie, flickering warmth. The Phlegethon is the river of passion and punishment, its flames a symbol of the divine justice that awaits the wicked. In some tales, it flows into Tartarus, the deepest pit of the underworld, where sinners face their eternal torment. The Greeks did not shy away from the idea of retribution. They believed that deeds in life shaped the soul's fate, and the Phlegethon was a warning, a blazing reminder that actions have consequences, even beyond the grave. Yet there is beauty in its fire, a wild, untamed energy that speaks of the vitality of life, even in a place of death. Finally, we come to the Lethe, the river of forgetfulness, its waters clear and deceptively gentle. To drink from the Lethe is to erase the memories of life, to shed the joys and sorrows that cling to the soul. The Greeks believed that most shades drank from its waters, choosing oblivion over the weight of their past. Picture a shade kneeling by its bank, cupping the water in trembling hands, its reflection fading as it drinks. The Lethe is both a gift and a loss, offering peace at the cost of identity. In some myths, those destined for rebirth in the mortal world drank deeply, their souls cleansed for a new life. The Greeks pondered this river with a mix of awe and melancholy, for it raised a question that haunted their philosophy. Is it better to remember or to forget? As the shade moves through this landscape, the rivers converge around it, their currents weaving a pattern that feels both chaotic and deliberate. The Greeks saw the underworld as a place of order, where each river played its part in the soul's journey. These waters were not random. They were the veins of Hades' realm, carrying the essence of human experience, grief, regret, passion, and oblivion. Poets like Hesiod and Virgil painted them with vivid strokes, their words bringing to life a world that was both alien and deeply familiar. To stand by these rivers was to confront the truths of existence, to see the soul laid bare in the face of eternity. The shade pauses now, its path uncertain. The rivers stretch into the distance, their waters calling with promises and warnings. Beyond them lie the judges of the dead, stern figures who weigh the soul's worth and determine its fate. What will they see in this shade, and what destiny awaits? The air grows still, and the river's voices fade, leaving only the echo of a question. Can the soul find peace in this land of shadows, or will its journey lead to something far stranger? Let us step forward, following the current, as the underworld reveals its next secret. The shade moves beyond the rivers, their whispers fading into a stillness that feels both heavy and expectant. The cavern widens, its walls receding into a vast chamber where shadows dance like memories half forgotten. Here, in the heart of the underworld, the air carries a weight of judgment, as if the very stones are watching, waiting. The shade's journey has brought it to a place of reckoning, where the deeds of its mortal life will be weighed, its fate decided. Before it stand three figures, their presence as unyielding as the rivers behind. Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Aeacus, the judges of the dead. In their hands lies the power to send a soul to eternal rest, torment, or something in between. As we follow the shade, let us linger in this solemn court, where the Greek understanding of justice and morality takes shape in the twilight of the afterlife. Picture this chamber, vast and dim, its floor smooth as polished obsidian, reflecting the faint glow of torches that burn with an unnatural light. The judges sit enthroned, their forms both regal and severe, cloaked in robes that seem to blend with the shadows. Minos, once a king of Crete, presides with a gaze that pierces the soul, his mind sharp as the labyrinth he once oversaw. Rhadamanthus, stern and just, surveys the shade with eyes that miss nothing, his reputation for fairness known even in the mortal world. Aeacus, guardian of the keys of Hades, completes the trio, his presence a reminder that no soul escapes the scrutiny of this court. Together, they embody the Greek ideal of justice, not a blind, impartial force, but a deeply human one, rooted in the belief that every action in life ripples into eternity. To the Greeks, the afterlife was not a place of universal reward or punishment, but a reflection of one's earthly existence. The judges were not gods, yet they held divine authority, granted by Zeus to ensure order in Hades' realm. Each brought a unique perspective to their task. Minos, with his royal wisdom, was said to settle disputes among the shades, his decisions final. Rhadamanthus, known for his unyielding sense of right and wrong, judged those from the eastern lands, his verdicts shaped by a moral code as rigid as stone. Aeacus, who once ruled the island of Aegina, judged the souls of the West, his fairness tempered by a deep understanding of human frailty. Together, they weighed the soul's deeds, sifting through memories of courage, kindness, cruelty, or cowardice, as if reading a scroll written in the ink of a life well or ill spent. The shade stands before them now, its form trembling under their gaze. There are no words, no pleas, for the truth of its life is laid bare, as if the judges can see every moment, every choice made in the sunlight above. The Greeks believed that the soul carried its history, a ledger of actions that could not be erased. A farmer who toiled honestly might find mercy. A warrior who spilled blood without cause might face a harsher fate. Yet the Greeks did not see morality as a simple scale of good and evil. Theirs was a world of nuance, where intent, circumstance, and the will of the gods all played a part. A single act of hubris, defying the divine order, could outweigh a lifetime of virtue, while a moment of selfless courage might redeem a flawed soul. The myths are rich with stories of this judgment. In the tales of poets like Pindar and Plato, we hear of souls standing before the judges, their fates decided with a precision that both awed and terrified the living. Some were sent to the fields of asphodel, a place of neutral existence for those whose lives were neither heroic nor wicked. Others, the virtuous and brave, were granted passage to the Elysian Fields, a paradise of eternal peace. The worst, those who offended the gods or committed unspeakable crimes, were cast into Tartarus, the abyss where torment awaited. The judges' decisions were final, yet they were not cruel. They were a reflection of the Greek belief that life and death were bound by a moral thread, a cosmic balance that even the gods respected. As the shade awaits its verdict, the chamber seems to hold its breath. The judges confer in silence, their thoughts inscrutable, their hands tracing the invisible lines of the soul's past. The Greeks wove these figures into their myths with care, drawing on a deep well of cultural values. Justice, to them, was not merely punishment or reward, but a restoration of order, a way to honor the delicate balance between mortal ambition and divine will. Philosophers like Socrates mused on the afterlife, wondering if the soul's journey was a chance to learn, to grow, even in death. Poets like Homer painted the judges as stern but fair, their authority a reminder that no one, not even a king, could escape the consequences of their choices. The shade's fate is decided now, though we cannot yet know its path. Minos raises a hand, and the air shifts, as if the very fabric of the underworld responds to his will. The shade is directed onward, toward a path that leads deeper into the realm. Will it wander the gray meadows of asphodel, feast in the golden light of Elysium, or descend into the fire and shadow of Tartarus? The judges' eyes linger, their work unending, as another soul steps forward to face their scrutiny. The chamber fades, and the shade moves on, its steps echoing in the silence. Ahead lies a new landscape, a place where the ordinary and the extraordinary meet, where the soul's journey takes on a new hue. What will the shade find in the fields that await, and what stories do those meadows hold? Let us follow, softly now, as the underworld whispers its next chapter. The shade moves forward, guided by the silent decree of the judges, its path winding deeper into the vastness of the underworld. The cavern walls recede, giving way to an expanse that feels both boundless and intimate, as if the air itself holds the weight of countless lives. Before the shade stretches a landscape unlike any in the mortal world, a vast, gray meadow bathed in a twilight that neither brightens nor fades. This is the Fields of Asphodel, a place of quiet repose where the souls of the ordinary find their eternal home. Here, in this soft, muted realm, the Greeks envisioned a fate for those who lived neither as heroes nor villains, but as most of us do, caught in the delicate balance of human striving and imperfection. As we follow the shade, let us walk these fields, their whispers weaving a tale of melancholy beauty that soothes the heart and invites the mind to rest. Picture the Fields of Asphodel as a sea of pale flowers, their petals swaying in an unfelt breeze, their scent faint but lingering like a memory of spring. The ground is soft, covered in a fine mist that clings to the shade's form, blurring its edges as it moves. The Greeks named this place for the asphodel, a flower associated with death, its white blooms a symbol of the quiet endurance of the soul. Unlike the vibrant meadows of the mortal world, these fields are subdued, their colors muted to shades of gray and silver, as if the light of life has been distilled into something softer, more eternal. The air is still, yet it hums with the presence of countless shades, their forms drifting like shadows cast by a moon that never rises. To the Greeks, the Fields of Asphodel were the destination of most souls, those who lived lives of neither great virtue nor great sin. Here, the farmer who toiled in the fields, the merchant who bartered in the agora, the mother who sang lullabies to her children, all found their place. It was a realm of neutrality, where the soul neither suffered nor rejoiced, but simply was. The Greeks did not see this as a punishment, but as a reflection of life's complexity. Not every soul could be a hero like Achilles, nor a villain like Tantalus. Most were simply human, their lives a tapestry of small joys and quiet sorrows. The Fields of Asphodel, then, were a mirror of that humanity, a place where the ordinary could rest in the embrace of eternity. As the shade walks, it sees others, countless others, moving through the fields. Their forms are faint, their faces blurred, as if the details of their lives have softened with time. Some drift aimlessly, their steps slow and dreamlike, while others pause to gaze at the flowers, as if seeking a memory they can no longer grasp. The Greeks believed that many shades drank from the river Lethe before arriving here, their memories of life washed away to grant them peace. Yet even without memory, there is a sense of presence, a quiet awareness that binds these souls together. In the Odyssey, Homer describes the shades of Asphodel as insubstantial, unable to speak unless given blood, their voices a faint echo of who they once were. Yet there is no despair in their silence, only a gentle acceptance of their fate. The Fields of Asphodel were not merely a destination, but a concept, a way for the Greeks to grapple with the question of what becomes of the soul. Philosophers like Plato saw in them a kind of stasis, a place where the soul could reflect on its existence without the distractions of mortal life. Poets like Pindar wove them into their songs, describing a realm where time ceased to matter, where the soul could wander without fear or longing. To stand in these fields was to confront the quiet truth of mortality, that most lives, though uncelebrated, held their own quiet dignity. The Greeks, with their love of balance, saw beauty in this simplicity, a kind of poetry in the ordinary. As the shade moves deeper into the fields, it feels the weight of its own life settling around it, like dust falling after a storm. The asphodel flowers brush against its form, their touch soft but fleeting, a reminder that even in death, there is something to hold on to. The Greeks told stories of this place with a mix of reverence and melancholy, for it was a fate they could imagine for themselves. In some myths, the shades of Asphodel were visited by the living, heroes like Odysseus or Aeneas, who sought wisdom from the dead. These tales suggest that the fields were not a place of isolation, but of connection, where the past and present could meet, if only for a moment. The shade pauses now, surrounded by the endless meadow, its heart, if a shade can have such a thing, stirred by the stillness. There is no pain here, no great joy, only the gentle rhythm of existence. Yet the fields of asphodel are not the end of the journey. Beyond the horizon, other realms await, places of light and shadow, of reward and retribution. The shade senses this, a faint pull toward something more, something brighter or darker than this gray expanse. The Greeks believed that the soul's fate was not fixed, that even in death, there was room for mystery, for possibility. What lies beyond these fields, and what destiny calls to the shade? The air grows quieter still, and the flowers seem to lean forward, as if they, too, are waiting for the answer. Let us follow, softly now, as the underworld reveals its next chapter. The shade moves onward, leaving the muted gray of the fields of asphodel behind, its steps guided by an unseen pull, a whisper of something brighter in the endless twilight. The air shifts, carrying a faint warmth, a scent like wildflowers kissed by a sun long forgotten. The cavern walls part, revealing a landscape that feels alive with a soft, golden glow, a place where the shadows recede, and the heart, even in death, stirs with hope. This is the Elysian Fields, the paradise of the Greek underworld, a realm reserved for the virtuous, the heroic, and those blessed by the gods. Here, in this haven of eternal spring, the soul finds not just rest but joy, a reflection of the Greek ideal of a life well lived. As we follow the shade, let us linger in this radiant meadow, where the beauty of the afterlife unfolds like a dream that soothes the soul. Picture the Elysian Fields as a vision of perfection, a landscape that seems to hum with life despite its place in the realm of the dead. Rolling hills stretch toward a horizon bathed in a gentle, amber light, as if the sun itself has been tamed to shine softly here. The grass is lush, dotted with flowers in every hue, crimson poppies, golden narcissus, and delicate white asphodels that glow rather than fade. Streams of clear water wind through the fields, their surfaces sparkling like polished crystal, their murmurs blending with the distant sound of laughter and song. The air is warm, fragrant with the scent of blooming trees, and the shades who dwell here move with a grace that speaks of freedom, their forms no longer dim but vibrant, as if touched by divine favor. To the Greeks, the Elysian Fields were the ultimate reward, a place where the soul could revel in eternal peace and happiness. This was not a fate for all, but for those who lived with exceptional virtue, courage, or piety, heroes like Achilles, who traded a long life for eternal glory, sages who sought wisdom above worldly gain, and those initiated into sacred mysteries, like the rites of Eleusis. The Greeks believed that the gods themselves chose who entered Elysium, their favor a mark of a soul's worth. In some tales, the Elysian Fields were a place of feasting and games, where shades ran races, played lyres, and danced under starless skies. In others, it was a realm of quiet contemplation, where the soul could reflect on its triumphs without the weight of mortal cares. As the shade steps into this golden realm, it feels a lightness, as if the burdens of its life have fallen away. Around it, other shades move through the fields, some clad in the armor of warriors, others in the robes of poets or priests, their faces alight with a joy that transcends memory. One shade, perhaps a hero of old, strums a lyre, its notes rising like a breeze, while others gather to listen, their laughter soft but clear. The Greeks wove vivid images of Elysium into their myths, drawing on a deep longing for a place where the soul could be whole. In Pindar's odes, Elysium is a land of eternal day, where the virtuous live as they did in their finest moments. In Plato's dialogues, it is a realm of philosophical purity, where the soul communes with the divine. The Elysian Fields were more than a reward. They were a testament to the Greek belief in the power of a life well lived. To reach Elysium was to achieve eudaimonia, a state of flourishing that extended beyond death. The Greeks did not see this paradise as a gift given lightly. It was earned through deeds that echoed through time, through lives that honored the gods and uplifted humanity. Yet there was a humility in their vision of Elysium, a recognition that even the greatest heroes were mortal, their glory a fleeting spark in the vastness of eternity. The fields were a place where that spark could burn forever, untarnished by the frailties of the flesh. As the shade wanders deeper, it pauses by a stream, its waters cool and inviting. A figure approaches, a warrior perhaps or a poet, offering a smile that feels like a memory of home. The shade listens as tales are shared, stories of battles won, loves lost, and moments of divine inspiration. The Greeks believed that Elysium was a place of connection, where souls could meet and share their triumphs, their voices blending in a harmony that soothed the heart. In some myths, the shades of Elysium could even return to the mortal world, reborn into new lives, their time in paradise a preparation for another journey. This idea, rooted in the mysteries of Orphism and Pythagoreanism, spoke to the Greek hope that death was not an end, but a transformation. The shade lingers now, bathed in the golden light, its heart stirred by the beauty around it. Yet even in this paradise, there is a sense of mystery, a question that lingers in the air. The Elysian Fields are a reward, but they are not the only fate in the underworld. Beyond these hills lies a darker realm, a place where the wicked face their reckoning. The shade senses this, a faint shadow at the edge of its vision, a reminder that the underworld is a place of balance, where light and dark coexist. What lies in that abyss, and what fates await those who strayed from the path of virtue? The flowers sway, and the stream's song grows softer, as if urging the shade to listen closely for the answer. Let us follow, gently now, as the underworld unveils its next truth. The shade turns from the golden light of the Elysian Fields, drawn by a subtle shift in the air, a chill that creeps like a whisper of warning. The path slopes downward, the ground growing rougher, the soft glow of paradise fading into a deeper, more oppressive darkness. The scent of flowers gives way to a faint tang of sulfur, and the distant sound of laughter is replaced by a low, rumbling echo, like the groan of the earth itself. This is the approach to Tartarus, the deepest pit of the Greek underworld, a realm of torment reserved for those who defied the gods or committed sins so grave they could not be forgiven. As we follow the shade, let us tread carefully, for this is a place where the soul faces the consequences of its darkest deeds, and the air hums with the weight of divine justice. Picture Tartarus as a chasm so vast it seems to swallow light itself, its walls jagged and black, streaked with veins of molten fire that pulse like a living thing. The air is heavy, thick with the heat of the Phlegethon's burning waters, which flow into this abyss, their flames casting eerie shadows that twist and writhe. The Greeks imagined Tartarus not merely as a place, but as a primal force, older than the gods, a void that existed before the world was shaped. Hesiod, in his Theogony, describes it as lying as far below the earth as the earth is below the heavens, a distance so great that an anvil falling from the surface would take 9 days to reach its depths. This was no mere prison, but a realm of eternal reckoning, where the wicked and the rebellious faced punishments as inventive as they were severe. The shade pauses at the edge of the abyss, its form trembling as it gazes into the darkness. Below, faint figures move, shades bound by chains of shadow or fire, their cries muffled but piercing, a chorus of regret that echoes through the stone. The Greeks believed that Tartarus was reserved for those who offended the divine order, those whose hubris or cruelty disrupted the delicate balance of the cosmos. Here, the Titans, who warred against Zeus, were imprisoned, their colossal forms bound in chains forged by Hephaestus. Here, too, were mortal sinners, their punishments tailored to their crimes, each a lesson etched in pain for eternity. Among the most famous is Sisyphus, the cunning king who dared to cheat death itself. Picture him now, his muscles straining as he pushes a massive boulder up a steep incline, his face etched with determination and despair. Each time he nears the top, the boulder slips, tumbling back to the base, forcing him to begin anew. The Greeks saw in Sisyphus a warning against hubris, for his crime was not only deceiving Hades, but believing he could outwit the gods forever. His punishment was not just physical but existential, a reminder that some mistakes cannot be undone, their consequences echoing through time. Nearby, Tantalus stands in a pool of water, a fruit-laden branch dangling just above his head. His throat burns with thirst, his stomach aches with hunger, yet the water recedes when he bends to drink, and the fruit sways out of reach when he stretches for it. Tantalus, who offended the gods by serving them forbidden flesh, is condemned to eternal want, his punishment a mirror of his greed. The Greeks, with their keen sense of justice, saw in Tantalus a lesson about the dangers of excess, of taking what was not meant to be taken. His name lives on in our word tantalize, a testament to the enduring power of these myths. Other shades suffer here as well. Ixion, bound to a flaming wheel for his crimes against Zeus. The Danyids, who murdered their husbands and now carry water in leaking jars, their labor as endless as their guilt. Each punishment is a story, a moral carved into the fabric of the underworld. The Greeks did not revel in these tales of torment, but saw them as necessary, a way to uphold the order that bound gods and mortals alike. Philosophers like Plato used Tartarus to explore questions of morality, asking whether punishment could redeem or merely destroy. Poets like Virgil painted it as a place of awe, where even the virtuous shuddered at its depths. As the shade stands at the edge, it feels the pull of tart hallucinatory abyss, a reminder that every choice carries weight. The air grows hotter, the cries louder, yet there is a strange clarity here, a truth laid bare in the firelight. The Greeks believed that Tartarus was not just for the wicked, but for those who challenged the divine will, who sought to rise above their place in the cosmos. It was a place of balance, where the scales of justice were set right, no matter the cost. The shade turns away, its path leading upward now, back toward the softer light of the underworld's other realms. But the echo of Tartarus lingers, a shadow that clings to the soul. Ahead, the shade senses a new presence, a figure of power and mystery who rules this vast domain. Who is this unseen king, and what does his reign reveal about the underworld's heart? The stones seem to whisper his name, and the air grows still, as if waiting for his command. Let us follow, cautiously now, as the shade seeks the truth of Hades himself. The shade stands in the presence of Hades, the air thick with his silent authority, but a new energy stirs, soft as a breeze carrying the scent of blossoms through the cavern's gloom. The darkness parts and a figure emerges, her steps light yet commanding, her presence a paradox of warmth and shadow. This is Persephone, queen of the underworld, goddess of spring, and the heart of a myth that binds life to death in an eternal cycle. Her eyes hold a quiet strength, tempered by a sorrow that lingers like dew on morning petals, and her robes shimmer with hues of emerald and dusk. As we follow the shade, let us linger in her story, a tale of love, loss, and transformation that the Greeks wove into the very seasons, a narrative that breathes life into the heart of Hades' realm. Picture Persephone as she moves through the throne room, her form radiant yet grounded, a bridge between the sunlit fields above and the shadowed depths below. The Greeks knew her as the daughter of Demeter, goddess of the harvest, and Zeus, king of the gods, a child of light destined for a darker fate. Her story begins in a meadow, where she danced among wildflowers, her laughter a melody that drew the eye of Hades himself. Smitten by her beauty and vitality, he rose from the underworld in his black chariot, the earth splitting to claim her as his bride. The abduction was swift, a moment of divine will that changed the cosmos forever, leaving Demeter to wander in grief, the earth withering in her sorrow. The shade watches as Persephone takes her place beside Hades, her throne a mirror of his own, yet adorned with vines that seem to pulse with life. The Greeks told her tale with reverence, for it was more than a story of loss. It was an explanation of the world's rhythm. When Persephone descended, the earth above grew barren, its fields cloaked in winter's chill. When she returned to her mother, spring bloomed, life surging forth in a riot of color. This cycle, born of her dual role as queen of the underworld and goddess of spring, was central to Greek thought, a reminder that life and death were not opposites but partners in an endless dance. The myth varies in its telling. Some say she ate pomegranate seeds willingly, binding herself to Hades. Others claim it was a trick, a single bite sealing her fate. Yet all agree that her choice, or lack of it, shaped her destiny. Persephone's presence in the underworld is transformative. Unlike Hades, who rules with stern detachment, she brings a touch of compassion, a hint of the mortal world's warmth. The Greeks saw her as a mediator, a goddess who understood both the joy of life and the weight of death. In the Homeric hymn to Demeter, Her story unfolds with emotional depth, her fear as she is taken, her growing acceptance of her role, and her love for Hades, complex and layered. She is not a passive figure, but a queen in her own right, her authority equal to her husband's, her will shaping the fates of the shades who pass through her realm. Temples to Persephone were rare, but her presence was felt in the mysteries of Eleusis, where initiates sought her blessing for a favorable afterlife. As the shade gazes at her, it feels a stirring, a memory of sunlight and flowers, of moments lost to the passage of time. Persephone's story resonated with the Greeks because it spoke to the human experience, being torn between worlds, finding strength in adversity and embracing change. Her dual nature fascinated poets and philosophers alike. Pindar sang of her as the bringer of renewal, while Plato saw in her a symbol of the soul's journey, caught between the material and the divine. To the Greeks, Persephone was not just a goddess but a mirror of their own hopes and fears, a reminder that even in the darkest places, there is room for growth. The throne room feels alive now, the air softened by her presence, the shadows less oppressive. The shade senses her gaze, not stern like Hades but searching, as if she sees the life it left behind. The Greeks believed that Persephone had a hand in the fates of the dead, her compassion tempering the justice of the judges. In some myths, she welcomed the virtuous to Elysium, her touch a blessing that eased their passage. In others, she wandered the fields of asphodel, offering solace to those who drifted in its gray expanse. Her story was a promise that even in the underworld, there was hope, a chance for redemption or renewal. As the shade lingers, it hears the faint echo of her voice, a song that carries the promise of spring even in this land of eternal night. The Greeks wove her myth into their rituals, offering pomegranates and flowers at altars, seeking her favor in life and death. Her story was a bridge between the mortal and divine, a reminder that every ending held the seed of a new beginning. The shade feels this now, a quiet pull toward the next stage of its journey, where the shades of the underworld await, their stories intertwined with her own. What do these souls know of Persephone, and what tales do they carry from the world above? The air grows still, and the queen's eyes seem to hold a secret, a promise of revelations yet to come. Let us follow, softly now, as the underworld opens its heart to the shades who dwell within. The shade moves from the throne room, where Persephone's presence lingers like a fleeting memory of spring, into a broader expanse where the air hums with a quiet chorus of voices. The cavern walls recede, giving way to a vast twilight plain where figures drift, some alone, others in clusters, their forms shimmering like mist caught in moonlight. These are the shades of the underworld, the souls of the departed, each carrying the weight of a life once lived. Here, in the heart of Hades' realm, they wander, their stories woven into the very fabric of this shadowed world. As we follow our shade, let us listen to their whispers, for they tell of love, loss, and the fragile threads that connect the living to the dead, a tapestry of human experience that soothes the heart with its timeless truths. Picture this plain as a sea of shadows, its boundaries blurred by the soft glow of an unseen light. The shades move slowly, their forms indistinct, as if the details of their mortal lives have softened into a dreamlike haze. Some wear the garb of their past, warriors in dented armor, mothers in simple robes, poets clutching invisible lyres, while others are mere outlines, their identities faded by the waters of Lethe. The air is filled with a low murmur, not of words, but of emotions, regrets, joys, and unspoken longings that blend into a melody both mournful and strangely comforting. To the Greeks, these shades were not mere ghosts, but echoes of the self, fragments of humanity preserved in the eternal twilight of the underworld. The shade we follow steps cautiously, sensing the presence of others around it. It passes a figure who stands alone, gazing into the distance as if searching for a memory. Another shade kneels by a stream, its hands trailing in the water, perhaps hoping to recall a moment from life. The Greeks believed that the shades retained something of their mortal essence, though diminished, their personalities shaped by the lives they led. In the Odyssey, Odysseus encounters them in a ritual of blood and fire, offering libations to draw them near. The shades he meets, Achilles, Agamemnon, his own mother, speak with voices heavy with longing, their words a bridge between the worlds of the living and the dead. This connection fascinated the Greeks, who saw the underworld not as a place of isolation, but of interaction. The shades could be summoned by the living through rituals at sacred sites, their wisdom sought in moments of need. Necromancy, the art of speaking with the dead, was both revered and feared, a practice that required respect for the boundaries between worlds. The Greeks told tales of heroes like Odysseus and Aeneas, who ventured to the underworld's edge to seek guidance, their journeys a testament to the enduring bond between the living and the departed. These stories were not mere fantasy, but a reflection of a culture that honored its ancestors, believing their spirits lingered close, watching over the living or yearning for remembrance. As the shade moves deeper into the plane, it senses a gathering, a cluster of shades drawn together, their voices rising in a soft cadence. One speaks of a life cut short, a battle lost under a burning sun. Another tells of a child left behind, her laughter echoing in a home now silent. The Greeks believed that the shades craved connection, not just with each other, but with the world they had left. Offerings of food, wine, and prayers were made at graves to ease their rest, a practice rooted in the belief that the dead could influence the living, for good or ill. In some myths, shades like Patroclus appeared in dreams, pleading for proper burial to find peace. In others, they lingered as restless spirits, their presence a warning to those who neglected the rites of death. The shade pauses now, drawn to a figure whose form seems sharper, more defined. It is a woman, her eyes bright with a sorrow that feels fresh, as if she has not yet drunk from the Lethe. She speaks softly, her words a lament for a life unfinished, a love unfulfilled. The Greeks wove such stories into their myths with care, seeing in the shades a mirror of their own hopes and fears. Philosophers like Plato pondered their existence, asking whether the soul retained its essence in death or became something new. Poets like Homer gave them voices, letting them speak of glory and grief, their words a reminder that even in the underworld, the human spirit endured. The plane stretches on, its shadows shifting as if alive, and the shade feels a pull toward another tale, one that resonates through the ages. The Greeks believed that some shades carried stories so powerful they shaped the myths themselves, tales of love that defied death, of quests that challenged fate. The air grows warmer, and the murmurs of the shades take on a new rhythm, as if they sing of a figure who walked among them, his lyre in hand, his heart heavy with loss. Who is this wanderer, and what story does he bring to the underworld's heart? The shades turn, their eyes fixed on a distant point, where a melody rises, soft but unyielding, a song that promises to pierce the veil of death itself. Let us follow, gently now, as the underworld reveals its next chapter. The shade drifts through the twilight plain, surrounded by the murmurs of countless souls, their voices weaving a tapestry of memory and longing. But now a new sound rises, a melody, soft yet piercing, like a single thread of light cutting through the gloom. It is the strum of a lyre, its notes trembling with a sorrow so deep it seems to stir the very air of the underworld. The shades around pause, their forms turning toward the source, as if drawn by a force stronger than memory. This is the song of Orpheus, the poet and musician whose love defied the boundaries of life and death, whose tale echoes through the ages as a testament to the power of the human heart. As we follow our shade, let us linger in this story, its gentle cadence a lullaby that soothes the soul and invites us deeper into the mysteries of Hades' realm. Picture Orpheus as he moves through the underworld, his lyre cradled in his arms, its strings shimmering with a light that defies the darkness. His face is pale, etched with grief, yet his eyes burn with a quiet determination, a love that refuses to yield. The Greeks revered Orpheus as a figure of divine artistry, a poet whose music could charm beasts, sway trees, and even soften the hearts of gods. His story begins in the mortal world, where he loved Eurydice, a woman whose beauty rivaled the spring itself. Their joy was brief, for a serpent's bite stole her away, her soul drawn to the underworld before their life together could fully bloom. Heartbroken, Orpheus resolved to do what no mortal had done, to descend into the realm of Hades and bring her back. The shade watches as Orpheus' form becomes clearer, his music filling the air with a melody that feels both familiar and otherworldly. The Greeks told his tale with a reverence that bordered on awe, for it spoke to the deepest human longing, to defy death for the sake of love. Orpheus' journey to the underworld was no simple quest. It was a test of courage, faith, and the power of art. Armed only with his lyre, he passed the gates of Hades, his music soothing the savage Cerberus, who lay down like a tamed pup. The river Styx parted for him, its waters stilled by the beauty of his song. Even Charon, the grim ferryman, paused his pole to listen, granting passage without the obel's price. As Orpheus moved deeper, his music touched every corner of the underworld. The shades of asphodel ceased their wandering, their faces lifted as if remembering the warmth of the sun. In Tartarus, the tormented paused in their suffering, Sisyphus resting his boulder, Tantalus forgetting his hunger, their pain eased by the notes that carried Orpheus' love. The Greeks saw in this moment the power of art to transcend even death, to bridge the gap between worlds. Poets like Pindar and Ovid wove his story with care, their words painting a scene of divine beauty, where music became a force stronger than fate itself. To them, Orpheus was not just a man, but a symbol of the human spirit, its ability to create meaning in the face of loss. The shade draws closer now, caught in the spell of Orpheus' song. It sees him approach the throne of Hades and Persephone, his lyre trembling with a melody that pleads for Eurydice's return. The king of the underworld, stern and unyielding, listens in silence, his iron scepter still. Beside him, Persephone's eyes glisten with tears, her heart stirred by the memory of her own separation from the world above. The Greeks believed that even the gods could be moved by human passion, and in this moment, Orpheus' music worked a miracle. Hades granted his request, but with a condition. Eurydice would follow Orpheus to the mortal world, but he must not look back until they had fully left the underworld. The shade feels the weight of this moment, the air thick with hope and dread. Orpheus begins his ascent, his lyre silent now, his steps measured as he trusts Eurydice follows behind. The Greeks told of this journey with a tension that gripped the heart, for it was a test of faith as much as love. Step by step, Orpheus climbed, the darkness thinning, the scent of the mortal world growing near. But doubt crept in, a whisper that she was not there, that the gods had tricked him. At the very threshold of the light, he turned, unable to resist, and saw her, her form fading back into the shadows, her eyes filled with a love that could not cross the divide. His cry echoed through the underworld, a sound that lingers still. The shade stands still, the melody fading, Orpheus' figure growing faint. The Greeks saw in his failure not just tragedy but truth, that love, though powerful, cannot always conquer death. Yet his story endured, a testament to the courage to try, to sing in the face of despair. The shade feels this now, its own memories stirred by the echoes of his song. Beyond this plane, other tales await, stories of how the underworld shaped the living world above. What did the Greeks learn from this realm, and how did it guide their lives? The air hums with possibility, and the shades seem to whisper of rituals and mysteries yet to be unveiled. Let us follow, softly now, as the underworld reveals its next chapter. The shade lingers where Orpheus' song still echoes, its notes fading into the vast silence of the underworld, yet leaving a resonance that stirs the heart. The plane of shades stretches around it, a tapestry of souls whose stories weave into the fabric of this shadowed realm. But the underworld was more than a destination for the dead. To the ancient Greeks, it was a living presence, a force that shaped their rituals, art, and understanding of the world. As we follow the shade, let us step beyond the caverns and rivers to explore how this realm of shadows cast its light on the mortal world above, influencing the lives of a people who lived in awe of its mysteries. Picture their temples, their festivals, their whispered prayers, all touched by the weight of the underworld's truth, a soothing thread that binds us to their timeless legacy. In the sunlit cities of ancient Greece, from Athens to Thebes, the underworld was never far from thought. The Greeks did not see death as a distant event, but as a constant companion, its presence woven into their daily lives through rituals that honored the dead and sought favor from the gods below. Burial practices were sacred, a duty to ensure the soul's safe passage across the Styx. Families gathered to wash and anoint the body, placing the obol coin in the mouth or upon the eyes, their hands trembling with love and fear. Tombs were adorned with offerings, wine, honey, and flowers, left to appease the shades and keep them from haunting the living. These acts were not mere tradition, but a bridge between worlds, a way to maintain harmony with the unseen forces that governed fate. The underworld's influence extended to the heart of Greek religion, nowhere more powerfully than in the Eleusinian mysteries, a secret rite dedicated to Demeter and Persephone. Picture the initiates, cloaked in silence, walking by torchlight to the sanctuary at Eleusis, their hearts pounding with anticipation. For days, they fasted, purified themselves, and participated in rituals that promised insight into the afterlife. The Greeks believed that those initiated into these mysteries gained favor in the underworld, their souls destined for Elysium rather than the gray fields of asphodel. The details of the rites were closely guarded, but poets like Pindar hinted at their power, describing visions of light and renewal that mirrored Persephone's return from the dark. These mysteries were a cornerstone of Greek spirituality, offering hope that death was not an end but a transformation. Art and literature, too, bore the underworld's mark. In the epics of Homer, the underworld is a vivid presence, its rivers and shades brought to life through Odysseus' journey. The Odyssey paints a realm of sorrow and wisdom, where heroes lament their lost glory yet offer guidance to the living. Sculptors carved scenes of Charon and Cerberus on funerary urns, their images a reminder of the journey all would take. Vase painters depicted Orpheus charming the shades, his lyre a symbol of art's power to transcend death. These works were not mere decoration, but a dialogue with the divine, a way for the Greeks to grapple with questions of mortality and meaning. Playwrights like Sophocles and Euripides wove the underworld into their tragedies, using its imagery to explore the consequences of human actions, their stages echoing with the weight of Hades' justice. The underworld also shaped Greek philosophy, sparking questions that lingered through the ages. Socrates and Plato pondered the soul's fate, asking whether it could find truth in the afterlife. In Plato's Republic, the myth of describes a soldier who returns from death to tell of the underworld's rewards and punishments, a tale that reflects the Greek belief in moral accountability. The Orphic and Pythagorean traditions went further, teaching that the soul could be reborn, its journey through the underworld a cycle of purification. These ideas were not abstract but deeply personal, guiding how the Greeks lived their lives, from acts of kindness to the pursuit of wisdom, all in hopes of a favorable fate beyond the grave. As the shade moves through the plane, it senses this connection to the world above, as if the prayers and offerings of the living ripple through the underworld's air. The Greeks built their culture around this interplay, their festivals, and rites a testament to their reverence for the dead. The Anthesteria, a festival in Athens, invited the shades to walk among the living, with offerings left to honor them and keep their influence benign. Oracles, like the one at the Necromantian of Epirus, allowed mortals to speak with the dead, seeking guidance or closure. These practices reveal a culture that saw the underworld not as a distant realm, but as a partner in the human experience, its mysteries a source of both fear and comfort. The shade pauses now, surrounded by the whispers of its fellow souls, each a thread in the story of a people who lived with death in their hearts. The Greeks' reverence for the underworld gave their lives depth, a sense of purpose that transcended the fleeting pleasures of the mortal world. Yet as the shade lingers, it feels a new pull, a sense that this realm's influence extends beyond its time, reaching into our own. How does the underworld live on, and what lessons does it hold for those who hear its tales today? The air grows soft, and the shades seem to turn, their eyes fixed on a distant horizon where the past meets the present. Let us follow, gently now, as the underworld reveals its enduring legacy. The shade stands amidst the murmurs of its fellow souls, their voices a soft echo of lives once lived, their stories woven into the eternal tapestry of the underworld. The air carries a gentle hum, as if the caverns themselves resonate with the weight of the myths that have shaped this realm. Yet the influence of the Greek underworld stretches far beyond these shadowed plains, reaching across centuries to touch the world we know today. Its tales of gods, shades, and rivers have left an indelible mark on literature, art, philosophy, and even our understanding of the human soul. As we follow the shade, let us trace this legacy, exploring how the underworld's mysteries continue to whisper in our stories, our dreams, and the quiet moments when we ponder what lies beyond. Picture a world where ancient myths live on, their truths as soothing and timeless as a lullaby. The Greek underworld, with its vivid imagery and profound questions, has never truly faded from human consciousness. Its rivers, Styx, Acheron, Lethe, flow through our language, their names invoked in poetry and prose to evoke separation, sorrow, or forgetfulness. The word tantalize, born from Tantalus' eternal torment, captures the ache of desire just out of reach, while Sisyphean describes tasks that feel endlessly futile, a nod to Sisyphus' boulder. These myths, crafted by poets like Homer and Hesiod, have become part of our collective vocabulary, their archetypes shaping how we tell stories about struggle, loss, and redemption. In modern literature, authors draw on the underworld's imagery to explore the human condition. Think of Dante's Inferno, where the Greek rivers merge with Christian visions of hell, or Neil Gaiman's American Gods, where ancient myths walk among us, their power undimmed. In film and television, the underworld's shadow looms large. Movies like Hercules and Clash of the Titans bring Cerberus and Charon to life, their images crafted for new generations, while series like The Sandman weave Persephone's duality into narratives of life and death. These adaptations, though modern, carry the same questions the Greeks pondered. What is the cost of defying fate? Can love conquer death? The underworld's aesthetic, its dark caverns, glowing rivers, and solemn gods, has inspired countless visual works, from the haunting paintings of Gustave Doré to the eerie landscapes of video games like Hades, where players walk the paths of Asphodel and Elysium, their choices echoing the myths of old. Philosophy, too, owes a debt to the underworld. The Greeks' musings on the soul's fate, voiced by Plato and Socrates, laid the groundwork for Western thought. The idea of an afterlife where deeds are judged resonates in modern ethics, where we grapple with questions of morality and consequence. The Orphic and Pythagorean beliefs in reincarnation, tied to the Lethe's waters, find echoes in Eastern philosophies and New Age spirituality, where the cycle of life and death remains a central theme. The underworld's structure, its division into realms of reward, neutrality, and punishment, has shaped how we imagine justice beyond the grave, influencing religious traditions from Christianity to Islam, where the afterlife reflects the choices of the living. In our daily lives, the underworld's legacy is subtler but no less profound. The Greek reverence for burial rites lives on in our funerals, where we honor the dead with flowers, prayers, and tokens of love, ensuring their passage to whatever lies beyond. The story of Persephone, with its cycle of loss and renewal, speaks to our seasons, both literal and emotional, as we navigate grief and hope. Even our fascination with the unknown, the way we seek meaning in dreams or stories, carries the echo of the Greeks' underworld, a place where mysteries were not solved but embraced. Psychologists like Carl Jung drew on these myths, seeing in figures like Hades and Persephone archetypes of the human psyche, guiding us through the shadows of our own minds. The shade moves now, its form blending with the countless others, yet it feels a connection to the world above, as if the stories told here ripple through time. The Greeks gave us more than myths. They gave us a framework to understand our mortality, to find beauty in the inevitable. Their underworld was not a place of despair, but of balance, where every soul had a place, every deed a consequence. Today, we carry this legacy in our art, our questions, and the quiet moments when we wonder what awaits us. The shade senses this, its heart stirred by the thought that its story, too, might live on, whispered in a tale told under starlight. As the shade wanders, it feels the pull of the underworld's final chapter, a moment to reflect on all it has seen. The caverns seem to grow quieter, the air softer, as if preparing to release the soul into a deeper rest. What does it mean to leave this realm, and what final truths will it carry into the silence? The shades around it seem to pause, their eyes turned toward a distant light, a promise of closure that beckons us all. Let us follow, gently now, as the underworld prepares to bid us farewell, its legacy a gift that lingers in our dreams. The shade drifts through the twilight plain, its form softened by the weight of the stories it has witnessed. The rivers that whisper of sorrow and forgetfulness, the fields that cradle the ordinary and the heroic, the gods whose presence binds this shadowed realm. The air grows gentler now, as if the underworld itself is exhaling, releasing a breath held for centuries. The caverns seem to close in, not with menace but with intimacy, like a mother drawing her child close for a final lullaby. This is the moment of farewell, a time to reflect on the journey through Hades' domain and to carry its truths into the quiet of sleep. As we follow the shade one last time, let us linger in this peaceful departure, where the Greek underworld offers its final gift, a sense of closure that soothes the heart and invites the soul to rest. Picture this moment as a stillness that blankets the underworld, the murmurs of the shades fading into a soft hum, like waves lapping at a distant shore. The landscape around the shade is familiar yet new, a blend of the Styx's dark waters, the asphodel's gray meadows, and the golden glow of Elysium, all woven into a single, dreamlike expanse. The Greeks did not see the underworld as a place to fear, but as a mirror of life's complexities, a realm where every soul found its place, whether in peace, torment, or quiet endurance. As the shade pauses, it feels this truth settle around it, a realization that the journey through these caverns is not just a passage, but a reflection of the human experience, timeless and universal. The Greeks wove their myths to make sense of the unknown, to find meaning in the inevitable. The underworld was their canvas, painted with rivers that carried the weight of grief, fields that honored the ordinary, and gods who embodied both justice and compassion. In Hades, they saw a king who ruled with fairness, his stern gaze tempered by Persephone's warmth. In Orpheus, they found a poet whose love challenged fate, his song a reminder that beauty could pierce even the darkest veil. These stories were not just tales but lessons, guiding the Greeks to live with courage, honor, and reverence for the mysteries that awaited. As the shade stands here, it carries these lessons, its form glowing faintly with the light of understanding. The air shifts now, and the shade feels a gentle pull, as if the underworld is loosening its hold. The Greeks believed that death was not an end but a transformation, a journey that might lead to Elysium's bliss, asphodel's quiet, or even rebirth in the mortal world. Philosophers like Plato spoke of the soul's cycle, its chance to learn and grow through each passage. Poets like Pindar sang of a light beyond the darkness, a hope that lingered even in the deepest caverns. The shade senses this now, a whisper of possibility that softens the weight of eternity. It is not alone, for the other shades seem to gather, their forms a silent chorus, their presence a reminder that every story matters, every life leaves an echo. As the shade prepares to rest, it recalls the world above, the sunlit hills, the laughter of children, the scent of olive groves under a summer sky. The Greeks honored these memories through their rituals, their offerings at graves, their festivals that invited the dead to linger among the living. The underworld was not a place of separation, but of connection, a realm that reminded them to live fully, to love deeply, and to face their fate with grace. The shade feels this now, its heart, if a shade can have such a thing, warmed by the thought that its life, however ordinary, was part of a greater story, one that continues in the myths we tell today. Dear listener, as you lie in the quiet of your own night, perhaps under a blanket of stars or in the soft glow of a lamp, let the underworld's truths cradle you. Its rivers, its gods, its shades, they speak to us still, whispering of balance, of love, of the courage to face the unknown. I invite you to carry these stories into your dreams, to let them guide you as you drift into sleep. And if this journey has touched you, consider sharing your thoughts below. Tell me where you are, what time it is, and what this tale has stirred in your heart. Your voice is part of this story, too, and I'm grateful to share it with you. Subscribe to join our community of dreamers, where each video is a new path into the past, a chance to rest in the arms of history. The shade takes a final step, its form dissolving into the twilight, as if becoming one with the underworld's gentle embrace. The caverns grow silent, the river's murmurs fade, and the air settles into a peace that feels eternal. What dreams will the shade carry, and what new journeys await in the quiet beyond? Let us close our eyes now, letting the underworld's legacy linger, a soft lullaby that carries us into the night. The shade stands poised at the edge of the underworld's vast expanse, its form bathed in the soft twilight that weaves together the rivers, fields, and caverns of this eternal realm. The air is still now, a gentle hush that carries the weight of countless stories, of Charon's silent ferry, Persephone's bittersweet rain, Orpheus' haunting melody, and the shades who whisper of lives once lived. As the shade prepares to dissolve into the quiet embrace of this shadowed world, it feels a sense of completion, as if the journey through Hades' domain has woven its fragmented memories into a single, timeless tapestry. Let us linger here, dear listener, in this moment of farewell, where the Greek underworld offers its final gift, a peace that cradles the soul and invites it to rest in the arms of eternity. Picture this final scene as a convergence of all we've seen, a landscape where the Styx's dark waters ripple softly, the asphodel's gray petals sway in an unseen breeze, and the golden light of Elysium casts a faint glow across the horizon. The shade is no longer alone, surrounded by the silent presence of countless others, their forms blending into a chorus of shared existence. The Greeks crafted this realm not as a place of fear, but of balance, a mirror of the human heart with all its joys, sorrows, and unanswered questions. Here, in the stillness, the shade finds not an end but a pause, a moment to reflect on the truths that have unfolded, truths about justice, love, and the fragile beauty of being human. The underworld, to the Greeks, was a living story, one that shaped their lives as much as it shaped their deaths. Its rivers taught them to honor the boundaries of fate, its fields reminded them to cherish the ordinary, and its gods urged them to live with courage and humility. In Hades' stern gaze, they saw the weight of consequence. In Persephone's gentle touch, they found the promise of renewal. The tales of Orpheus and Sisyphus spoke to their deepest longings, to defy loss, to seek meaning, to endure. These myths were not mere stories but a guide, a way to navigate the mysteries of existence with grace. As the shade stands here, it carries these lessons, its essence a quiet echo of the culture that dreamed it into being. Now, as the shade begins to fade, its form merging with the twilight, it feels the underworld's final gift, a sense of belonging. The Greeks believed that every soul had a place, whether in the meadows of asphodel, the bliss of Elysium, or the depths of Tartarus. This belief gave them comfort, a certainty that life's struggles were not in vain, that every choice, every moment, wove a thread into the eternal. The shade senses this now, its heart, if a shade can have such a thing, warmed by the thought that its story, however small, is part of a greater whole. The caverns grow silent, the river's murmurs soften, and the air settles into a peace that feels like a lullaby, sung by the gods themselves. Dear listener, as you rest in the quiet of your own night, perhaps curled beneath a blanket or gazing at a starlit sky, let the underworld's truths wrap around you like a gentle embrace. These ancient stories are not just relics of the past. They are mirrors of our own lives, reflecting our hopes, fears, and dreams. They remind us to live with purpose, to love fiercely, and to face the unknown with courage. As you drift towards sleep, carry the underworld's lessons into your dreams. Let the Styx teach you resilience, let Elysium inspire your heart, and let Persephone's cycle of renewal guide you through life's seasons. The Greeks gave us these tales to light our way, and their glow remains as steady as the stars. I invite you to join me in this journey through history, to become part of a community that finds solace in the stories of the past. If this tale of the Greek underworld has touched you, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me where you're watching from, perhaps a quiet village in the mountains, a bustling city under neon lights, or a cozy room where the night feels endless. What time is it there, and what did this story stir in your heart? Did the river's whispers linger, or did Orpheus' song tug at your soul? Your voice matters, and I'd love to hear it. If you've found peace in this journey, consider subscribing to my channel, where each video is a new path into the past, a chance to rest in the arms of history. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a story, and share this video with someone who might find comfort in its words. As the shade dissolves into the twilight, its form becoming one with the underworld's gentle embrace. We, too, prepare to leave this realm. The caverns fade, the rivers grow silent, and the air carries a final note of peace, a promise that these stories will linger in our dreams. Thank you for walking this path with me, for letting the Greek underworld guide you into the quiet of the night. My name is Sherry, and I wish you a restful sleep, filled with the echoes of ancient truths. Good night, dear listener, and may your dreams be as boundless as the underworld itself.